All right. So I'm now joined by a longtime Windsor Spitfires coach. Little known to some are his playing days for the Toronto St. Michael's Majors. He's a Burlington native and also played for the Burlington Cougars. Welcome to the WinCity Sports Podcast, Jerrod Smith, assistant coach of the Windsor Spitfires.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, long time coming. So it's going to be cool to get to know you a little bit through this interview and, just have some fun, like we said. So seems like you were born and raised in Burlington, came up through the hockey ranks up there. So what was life growing up out there like? Obviously, I'm assuming a big hockey kid growing up.
Yeah. Originally, obviously from Burlington, played on some really good minor hockey teams growing up. Won a couple OMHA championships in our minor Bantam, major Bantam years. 11 guys drafted the OHL off that major Bantam team. So obviously that, a lot of talent on those teams and a great bunch of kids, great bunch of guys that obviously I remained close with. And I was a multi-sport athlete, so I played AAA baseball my whole life too. So I kind of got to the point where I kind of had to decide which, sport I was going to pursue. And at the time it was hockey, but I still managed to play, high school baseball as I continued to play some junior hockey as well. So, but yeah, it's a great place to grow up, great city.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool, man. I always ask people if they had a time in their life where they had to make that decision to go to one thing or the other. Was it just like, maybe I got some more potential in hockey than baseball, or was it just I'm a bigger hockey fan?
Yeah, like to be honest, I mean, I don't know. I liked them both. Like I didn't really. It was really tough for me. Obviously, I didn't think I was, gonna pursue a major league baseball career by any means. So at the time the decision was made, maybe there's more of an opportunity for me to play hockey and to play in the Ontario Hockey League. And, I was able to do that. I had a great experience at St. Mike's, played there for a year. And not only that, obviously bounced around a little bit and played junior B in Brantford and tier 2 in Burlington. And then I went out east and played junior B out east. And so I've had my fair share of, viewings in different leagues across the country, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of playing the game, especially even just in Canada alone. Like you said, growing up in Burlington, great place to grow up and, close to the GTA. So obviously a huge hockey community, like you said, guys drafted out of your team. I mean, I can only imagine how many are drafted out of your geographical area too, right? Just a huge hockey area.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was, I grew up playing against, guys like Rick Nash, Dan Girardi, Daniel Paille, just some of those names that were basically in our league, in our OMHA league that we got to see, quite often growing up.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of those names. So imagine it's the cool things to talk to people like yourselves and any player really to go back to those days. And it's like, look at all the people, the names that people will recognize that were just little kids playing minor,
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So, like you said, you kind of came up through the AAA ranks out there, and I'm assuming drafted to St. Mike. So kind of take me through your journey into the OHL. I mean, going back to those days.
Yeah, so I was a 5th round pick to the O. I was a good student too. So it was a, there was a decision there that was pretty tough for me to make on what to do, whether to pursue, I guess the fast track to pro hockey or to maybe go to school. And my dad's a Toronto guy, grew up in Toronto, obviously, the rich history of St. Mike's. I think that kind of played a factor into the family decision on, hey, this is a great opportunity to play in the OHL. Not only that, but to go to St. Mike's, a prestigious private school, have that paid for and get that, obviously great education from St. Mike's. I was originally drafted by Mark Osborne, who was head coach GM at the time that I was drafted. And 2 weeks before the season, he resigned. And I had already signed, and Dave Cameron got the job. So Dave came in and obviously didn't know the draft class very well at all. We had a really good team that year. We won a couple playoff rounds, a lot of veteran guys. At the start of the year, I was kind of like in and out of the lineup but there was a chunk of the year where I was playing some good minutes, like third line center minutes with some older players. And at the deadline, obviously there was an opportunity there for us to add some players, which, hurt my ice time. And, I was kind of in and out of the lineup, quite a bit, which was tough, no doubt. And I guess the following year, going into the season, went to training camp. And it was still at the time where guys from the East Coast could be drafted or invited to Ontario League camps. And we had Dave Cameron being an East Coast guy, brought in a few guys that he was familiar with from the East Coast. And I guess kind of the writing was on the wall for me to play a similar role that I did the year before. And I wasn't, I don't know, I just didn't like that feeling. And I ended up making the decision to go back home and to play. I wanted to play hockey. Like I just wanted to enjoy the game again and grow my game. And so I made the decision to go home and play rather than, be, I guess, 14th, 15th kind of in and out guy. Right. So that was difficult. No doubt. It was difficult because I obviously gave up my eligibility and thought I was, hopefully going to have a good career in the OHL. And, no regrets though. Like it was a great experience. Played with some great guys, great teammates, learned a lot. Obviously there's some things I wish I would have done more or better, no doubt. But I got to go back home and I was the last year for OAC, right, in high school. So got to go back home and play tier 2 and finish my high school in my hometown. So that was my experience really in the OHL, as a player.
Well, a different time, obviously, as well. I mean, for the game of hockey and for yourself. I mean, a lot of people forget, like we're watching, the Spitfires, and they're just kids, really. I mean, it's tough to make a decision like that for the future for yourself. I mean, at that time, right? Like, and obviously, you made the decision based on what would be best for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, like being in an OHL training camp and getting all the gear and being around like the older players, some guys drafted, and getting that experience. And it was close to home too. So, and I think obviously the idea of being able to play at St. Mike's and go to the school, that was certainly something that kind of pulled us in.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. I mean, close to home, you didn't have to leave, which is a big thing too. At that age, leaving home, so you didn't have to go too far, and was probably kind of like the hometown team for you.
Yeah. Like I billeted there, but it was, it's 45 minutes away. So my family were able to come down and watch us, and then, and whenever it wasn't far for them at all. So that was certainly something that played a factor.
Yeah, probably something you did even before, playing there, just going to games, right? Like
yeah. St. Mike's Arena, you remember that small barn, right?
Yeah.
So that was, a lot of history there. Really small rink, tough rink to play in for sure. It was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, for sure. And like you talked about kind of getting in and out of the lineup and due to, adding players and stuff like that. But the thing is, it was a good team. So nonetheless, I mean, good record, good players. I mean, Peter Buda, I'm going down the list here, just a few you can name, like Dave Bootland, Tim Brandt. I know a lot of these guys because they played for Toronto too, or like, Daryl Boyce had like a stint in there. So I'm just going down the list like, oh, this guy.
Yeah. Kevin Klein.
Yeah.
Buda, Andy Kyoto. Yeah, we had a Luke, Mark Popovic. We had a really good team. Yeah, for sure.
You keep in touch with a lot of people from junior too. I'm sure even with the Burlington teams, just being local too, right? A lot of
the guys I played here with, there's probably 4 or 5 of them that we grew up playing AAA together. So we remain close, and there's a couple of guys that I still keep in touch with, some from St. Mike's as well. Yeah.
I mean, that's like I talk about with everyone. It's your days of high school and then a little bit after. So they always say those are the most memorable times of your life, and it's pretty true when you look back at it and can still remember those days and all the people that you kept in touch with. And it's cool for people like me and people listening to know that you played with these guys, or we're buddies and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, man. Yeah, for sure.
Privileged life, So let's get to like that end of junior, I suppose. Like you said, you went home, and then after that year, what was the mentality? Were you looking to go to school or stay in the game at all, or what happened there?
Yeah, I think at that point I just wanted to get that feeling of enjoying the game again and having fun, right? At the end of the day, it's a kid's game, and at the time, really, I wasn't enjoying it so much, and I wanted to get that or see if I could get that feeling back, really. And I did. Playing in Burlington, and then I actually had the opportunity to play in Windsor, at the University of Windsor.
Oh.
And I chose not to. I chose to go out east. I went to Acadia, and I did my undergrad degree there in recreation management. They had a really, really good hockey team there. And again, it was kind of a situation like if I really think I'm going to play here, I'm probably going to be the same thing, like in and out. And there was they have a great junior B loop there. So I played junior B in Windsor, Nova Scotia, which was 25 minutes away from Wolfville. And to be honest with you, it's probably some of the best years I've ever had playing hockey. Riding a school bus with just a great bunch of guys, obviously guys that were new teammates to me. There was 3 of us from Ontario that ended up playing junior B together on that team, guys that I went there with, 2 of my best friends. And so we played there, traveled to games together, lived together, and played with just a great bunch of guys. And it was good hockey. We got to see the province, so that was kind of fun, like traveling through the province and getting to see it, because obviously we were pretty unfamiliar with it. But it was just a special time, balancing the university life and junior B life, and having fun, really. That's kind of at the end of the day, for me, it was about having fun again, playing the game. And yeah, like I said, it was some of the best years I've had in my life playing hockey, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's always good to have some buddies from back home with you too, so you're not too not too fresh to the pack.
Yeah, so 2 guys that I played tier 2 with in Burlington ended up going with me to school out there, and we got to experience that together, so that was pretty special.
Play in the birthplace of hockey, Windsor, Nova Scotia.
That's right, man. That's right. It was a great barn, freezing cold. We probably got close to 1,000 fans some nights. It was a tough league. It was good though. Like, guys that you can play as a 21-year-old there too. So if you play as a 20-year-old, you can play as a 21-year-old. So I was able to do that, so I got basically an extra year junior out of it.
Yeah.
So that was and our coaches were awesome. Just great guys. Devoted their time and to us, and taught us a lot, and great mentors as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you're seeing that too on the other end, as we will get into coaching soon. You were like these kids, like yourself, traveling somewhere else, and probably seeing yourself in some of these kids nowadays too. So you probably think back to your old coaches and think like, damn, they had to put up with me and shit like that, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, go ahead.
No, yeah, obviously I played for a lot of coaches, and tried to pick up, I guess, a little bit from everybody. When I knew I was gonna try and make coaching a career, looking back on the different, the guys I played for and what kind of stood out for me, what I thought was effective or ineffective, and the types of relationships they were able to build, and how that basically all tied into creating like a winning environment. So, and that's obviously, as a coach, that's our greatest challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, well, you've came over that challenge a few times. We'll get into it actually. I mean, you've been with the Spits for a long time, but before we actually jump to that, I have 2 questions that I'm not even sure if we're going to skip over this or not. I mean, I do all my research on the internet, and I like to learn right from the horse's mouth. Now, we have 2 years here of you playing in Australia and Germany. Is that you, or is that a different?
That's me, man. That's me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because like
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I couldn't find much on it. I mean, I was like, I gotta listen to, you did the Hat Trick Hockey podcast, and I was shocked that they didn't bring it up. So I mean, let's get in. I wasn't sure if it was like a mistake on the website or something, So I
No,
was
I'm
like, there's
sure.
like a year in between, and then you go there, but that's probably when you were playing at Acadia, right?
Yeah. So you've heard of the Australian Pro League before, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I mean, just from
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of guys from
So
around here have been out there. So
yeah. So I had a buddy who played in the league, and obviously their winter time is our summertime, right? The season's kind of flipped
yeah,
for them. So I it was all on my own. I ended up emailing. So this was in between my third and fourth year, if I recall correctly, of university. You know, I wanted to continue playing, and I thought I was actually developing even more. I actually made the switch. I started playing defense. I
okay.
started playing defense in Nova Scotia, and I was like, damn, like I should have been a defense my whole life, kind of thing. I got that feeling, and I loved playing the position, and I wanted to continue playing if I could, right? So I started reaching out to teams in the Australian Pro League because I knew, I had a buddy who went over there and had a great experience, and I knew that, I was able to do this. I was able, if I were to hook onto a team, I could go after I wrote my last exam. I could play there and come back and start my fourth year university, right? So I remember sending an email to probably every team over there, and the West Sydney Ice Dogs they were obviously the ones corresponding the most with me, and ended up offering me a spot without obviously seeing me play, just my very average junior resume, really. Um, Offered me a spot, paid for my flight, paid for my accommodations and car. So after my last exam, I remember going home, and I flew out of Toronto like two days later. Obviously, without knowing anybody, I got picked up at the airport. Um, got taken. Here's me thinking I'm like gonna play on a beach and like go to practice and surf and like lie on the beach and enjoy that kind of life. I was pretty wrong about that. Like I was in a suburb of Sydney, and like believe me, like it was awesome, but like it's not what I really thought I was getting into. It was a suburb of Sydney, um, like pretty rough area to be honest. I lived with two American guys, great guys. One guy was from Utah, one guy was from Minnesota. So I think you're allowed 5 imports, so we were three of the five. Um, and so we long story short, in like I think I played four games. I blew my shoulder out. Like I remember, I've never been hit so hard in my life. I remember hooking the net as a D man. I made a pass. I popped my head up, and this guy was just like, I didn't see him, and he smoked me, and he got all my shoulder, and like I just remember like spinning in the air and like landing on the ice, and like I've never obviously been hurt like that before,
Hmm.
and so so my shoulder's out, like it's my shoulder's right out, and I can remember being in the trainer's room. They're trying to like pop my shoulder in. I'm like, guys, like this isn't working, right? So um, we go to the hospital, and I didn't have my travel insurance on me at the time, and I remember some of the Aussie boys were like, "Oh, don't worry, like we'll just get you in under like one of our names." I'm like, what? Like you guys like, are you guys serious? And sure enough, like they tried to get me into the hospital under like a false ID, and I was like, guys, I had the nurse administrator, whoever she was at the hospital, starting to ask me questions. Like I don't have an Australian act. Like I speak like I don't speak.
Yeah.
So right away I'm like, hey, hang on. Like this is not gonna work, guys. So she had kind of laughed it off, and like I told her, like, listen, I do have my travel insurance, it's not on me. This is what happened. So I saw a doctor right away. Told me it was like separate, like a third-degree separation. You're going to be out, maybe a month. I was like, oh, okay, like no big deal. Like I'll rehab it. Their team was obviously going to help me out with the rehab. I was like, no big deal. Like, you had to play a certain number of games to play in the playoffs. So you had to, I think it was like a 28 game season. You had to play at least like 14 games, like half the schedule. So I was like, okay, well, I was trying to map it out. Like, I think I can get that in, right? If I'm only going to be out a month. Turns out, like, honestly, man, it got worse. Like my shoulder, like I could barely lift like a soup can, like after like 3 weeks over my like my shoulder. And I was like, this isn't right. Like there's more to it, like this injury. Basically I didn't get, great medical attention, more or less. And I remember it got to the point where I wasn't going to be able to play that number of games to get in the playoffs. but I was like, I'm not flying home. I'm gonna soak this in and enjoy my experience here. Being around the guys and enjoying obviously new surroundings and living abroad. So I stayed until like close to the playoffs. And I went home, and when I got home, I saw a surgeon in Hamilton right away, and he's like, "Yeah, like this should have been operated on like right away." And I never got the surgery because he's like, at this point, after like 2.5, 3 months, it's begun to heal on its own, and I don't want to do the surgery. And I was like, "Yeah, all good." And to be honest, it's given me no issues like ever since. Like it's fine, but so yeah, I got hurt basically is what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you always hear the crazy Russian stories, but not too many of the crazy Australia stories, man.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of outrageous that whole night, but pretty funny to look back on it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, at least you got some story out of it. And
yeah, for sure.
I mean, it looks like so you were like kind of naturally able to recover because I mean, you eventually went back to Germany, right?
Yeah. So and then I graduated, and again, I had a buddy who played. I want to say they call it the fourth league. Like it's obviously not a great league. Like I was going over there again for the experience and the fact that they were going to pay for my accommodations and give us a car and whatnot, and you make a little bit of money, but it's just spending money, right, more or less. So that was another really interesting experience. We were in a town, Adendorf, which is north of Hamburg. Like not a lick of English there, really, like very, very German. So that was difficult, trying to just get by day to day, with the language barrier. And I was there for like 2 or 3 weeks by myself before the other Canadian guy came over. And he spoke some German, so that kind of helped when he got there. But as you know, like over there with those leagues, like it's like soccer, right? Like if you don't finish in the top 3 or top 2 of the league, you don't get the promotion to the league above. And it's another hilarious story.
Yeah.
We play. We basically I was there till Christmas. So at Christmas time, like we were middle of the pack to like basically we weren't going to be promoted to the next league. And I remember we got like literally a freaking piece of paper slipped under our door, like at our apartment, like basically telling us like we're not paying you guys anymore. Like that's enough. Like this is not what we thought we were getting ourselves into. Like bye kind of thing. And so we were like, what the hell am I gonna like? I was like, what the hell am I gonna do now, right? Like, so they basically the team folded more or less. And I stayed for another week or so, and then I ended up because it was around Christmas time. I was like, okay, I might as well go home for Christmas at this point, right? So yeah, that was that was another interesting hockey experience abroad for sure.
We need a documentary on that team now.
Oh man, yeah. I got a sweet jersey. I still have my jersey. It's like, it's like the jersey you think you're like all logoed up.
Yeah, say all the
advertisements and So yeah, that was interesting, man. Yeah.
Well, hey man, nonetheless, you get to some good stories, of course. And traveling, right?
Yeah, for sure. Germany was awesome. Like the place we were, like I said, it was super, very German, but the architecture I just remember was awesome. Like kind of, old stone road and like, villages, and it was super clean, and people were really friendly despite the language barrier, but it was a great experience for sure.
Yeah. Again, like I talked to with a lot of people, nonetheless, how far they went in hockey, you get to do stuff like that through a game, through a sport that we've all loved.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's it. I mean, obviously you decided to just kind of step away from playing, and I'm assuming we'll get into that. And you graduated and then coaching. So kind of how does that all unfold for you?
Yeah. So when I finished in Germany, I came back. I ended up choosing to do my master's degree in sports admin at Canisius. So I got into that program. I lived at home and I commuted. So I was in Buffalo basically 3 days a week, living at my parents'. I think I was like 24 at the time. And I had to do an internship with my program, my master's degree. So there's a private school called Nichols College in Buffalo, and it's a really good school, good hockey program traditionally. And thought, hey, why don't I try and link into this school and maybe help coach the team, and that can be my internship. And I got to go ahead to do that, and they hired me. So I helped. That was my first, like, get my feet wet in coaching, was, coaching the junior varsity team there. So it was mostly grade 9s and 10s. And some of those kids would go on to play, obviously, for the senior team, and I would say, like, 3-4 guys out of those programs are getting D1 scholarships. So it's good hockey. As you know, like, American prep hockey is a little, I guess, more advanced than it is here in Canada. And so that was my first real experience coaching, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, when you look it up, it's just strictly Spitfire stuff on your resume. So all the stuff I'm learning, right? So
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the way I like to do it. And that's why I was like, I'm just gonna ask him if he played in Germany. If he didn't, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
But that's exactly where it leads us to Windsor, right? So I'm assuming, did you just apply for a job with Windsor, or did you
So
okay.
Bob Jones is a relative of mine. So that was my connection here. So they needed a video guy. Bob Bugner came back from the NHL that year, and he wanted a full-time video guy, and I applied, and came down, and Warren and Bob interviewed me, and gave me the job as a full-time video guy here. And so I worked that my first year. Bob, DJ, Dave Matsos, Bob Jones, and obviously Warren was the GM. So I worked under those guys. I did that for 2 years. And then Dave Matsos left, took a job in Sudbury, and I got a call the next day from Bob and Warren, basically saying, we want to promote you to assistant coach. So that's how that happened, with me getting behind the bench here, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it just worked out, I guess. That's what I was going to ask, if obviously the opportunity came up and it just fell right into place. I mean, making that jump at the time, I mean, again, from video coach to assistant coach, given your experience, was probably like a huge, like, honor to you for them to reach out.
Yeah, I remember getting the call. I was golfing with my buddies back home in Burlington. I got the call, and I was like, obviously right away, it was an immediate yes. And they gave me a 3-year contract. And I think, with my education, and when I first took the video job, I still do have aspirations to get into the management side a little bit. And obviously, Windsor did give me the title of director of player personnel this year, which I'm grateful for. And that's gonna, I certainly want to learn as much as I can on the management side. And I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's how I didn't really know if I wanted to make a career of coaching at the time. And it happened pretty quick, right? And obviously, starting to coach and working with great people, and seeing kids develop, and not only in hockey, but seeing them go on and do other things in life. Trying to develop them not only as players, but as just good young men, right? And teaching them discipline and values, and that's something, obviously, as coaches, we take pride in. So it's obviously worked out really well for me. I absolutely love Windsor, love the city. Met my wife here. She's a Tecumseh girl. We have 2 little boys. I absolutely love the city, love the people, love the community. We live in Riverside, and it's been really good to me.
That's awesome, man. So that's the stuff we like to hear on WinCity Sports. It's about the city as well. And we were going to talk about that as well. I mean, Riverside guy, where's your go-to pizza place if you love some Windsor?
I'm a Naples guy.
Oh yeah, me too. I got Naples right down the road here, so it's hard not to,
Yeah, but it's the Windsor pizza topic. It's great because it's unbelievable. Like, let's be honest, it's the best pizza, I think, in the world. And my buddies from home have caught on to, like, because I pump it up all the time. And when they come down to visit and they get a little taste of it, it's like, wow, I think you're right. So yeah, that's another great part of the city, is the pizza, right?
Of course, man. That's one thing I always like to talk about, especially people who move out of Windsor. But like, how much do you miss it? And the people that come here, it's like, tell me that it's the best. Tell me it's not.
My brother-in-law is he's in Barrie now, and Actually, my in-laws just are up to visit. Every time they go to visit, they bring them a
Bring
pie.
one, yeah.
Yeah, they bring them one. Yeah.
I was telling my mom sent someone a frozen pizza to Calgary on on a
That's
plane.
awesome.
So
That's
that's how
amazing.
bad
Yeah.
they want it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and talking about Windsor, of course, it's cool to hear that now you're kind of like a Windsor guy. Again, kind of like a homegrown Windsor Spitfire coach coming through the ranks, and you know, we're excited to get the season started, man. I'm sure you are too. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And obviously, last year was really tough. You know, the people you feel the worst for are the players, no doubt.
Yeah.
What they had to endure in the season they lost last year in their development. Um, that was obviously a terrible situation, and our team would have been really good last year, no doubt. But I'd like to say the exact same thing about our team this year. Really, we got a great group of kids, good mix of older players and our younger players. Are certainly showing that they belong. So I think the fans, have a lot to look forward to this season with our team, and we're really excited. There's a great atmosphere around the team. The environment's awesome. We're trying to build something special here. Let's just hope that we can get some noise in this building, right, sooner or later. So hopefully that comes soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just around the corner, and I'm not sure I actually even really announced like if we're going to be allowed to go or not, but I'm sure as soon as those doors are open, the people are going to be eager and ready to go, just like everyone else, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's been a tough year, and every year there's always changes within the team, staff, and stuff like that, and a little shifting around this year with
Yeah.
Trevor leaving and stuff. So
Yeah.
so you must have got extended another year or two, and now you're player personnel director. So
Yeah. Director
any
player.
changes there for you, or is it just kind of
Yeah, like there will be some changes to my day-to-day stuff. It's something I'm really looking forward to learning more on, more about the management side, and I'm grateful for the opportunity they gave me. I'm going to be helping Bill and Frank out as much as I can with personnel decisions and, our prospects, their development, checking in with them, learning more about the league bulletins that come across, and, how to communicate that with our players. So it's something I'm looking forward to. Obviously, as a coach, during the season, it is busy for us, but I look forward to the challenge of managing my time between both positions.
It's cool, man. It's cool to hear given your story and everything that you've talked about. So it's cool to see where you might go in the future as well. And we're about less than 10 minutes to practice, so we'll get you out there in a minute. But to wrap it up, I mean, it's a pandemic year. I'm sure there's been a lot of challenges to kind of overcome in the last couple of months, just getting back into things. So, and I'm sure you guys are working through that as well right now. So has there been any challenges for you as a coach or the team?
No, like it was good to get a few real games in last weekend,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like I obviously hadn't stood behind a bench in 18 months or whatever it was. I'll never forget the day where we were getting ready to play Saginaw, when the pandemic hit and everything was shut down after that NBA player tested positive. I remember coming in and telling Trevor, I'm like, man, it's over. Like it's over. He's like, what are you thought? I'm like, we're gonna get shut down for sure.
yeah.
And sure enough, like later on that afternoon, we're prepping for the game, and I remember Billy coming in saying, yeah, there's no game tonight. And what we thought was going to be 2 or 3 weeks turned into 18, 19 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the challenge for us was trying to keep our players engaged last year and holding out hope to playing. And obviously not happening was pretty crushing to the guys, no doubt. The guys that lost that last year, junior, they'll never get back. So that was the hardest part for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And now we're back to it, and everyone's just happy to be back. It seems like like riding a bicycle.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's new staff, and the players obviously are ecstatic to be out here, to be together, to be on the ice. We're having a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of teaching, obviously, with new players, new systems. it should be a fun place to come, right? That's our job as coaches, to make this place, to make it exciting to come to the rink every day. And I think we take a lot of pride in that. So let's hope we have a great season here in Windsor.
Absolutely. That's the Spitfires there for you. Absolutely. So again, we're looking forward to the season. Thanks for taking the time to do this, man. Really appreciate it.
Okay, man. Drake, thanks so much for having me, buddy. Appreciate it.